Hello and welcome back to Old World Blues under the unity of Austin under Keats. Oh wow! Don't zoom in. Geesh, I need to turn down the volume for whatever that one is. There, that's better. Geesh. Crusher has been a great source of trouble for us in recent history. With our victory in the Three-Way War, we finally have a chance to address the treason in detail. But like most of our other leaders who would rather have a troublesome traitor either executed or locked up and forgotten about, Keats has a plan to take Crusher to the stage for a debate. Wait, sorry? He has a plan to take Crusher to the ring for a debate. Oh yeah! Let's go. I like the idea of that. That just sounds hilarious. Let me turn up the music volume. And music actually begins. We're split between unity of strength and unity through peace. And there's no in between. The great debate. The crowd has grown steadily in the city center since the announcement went out a day ago, where the temporary gallows were once erected as a show of force to illustrate the unity's mastery of the other two Attis army remnant groups. Now a wrestling ring has been erected, complete with microphones on all sides and enough spotlights to dim the sun. Fortunately, the match was to be hosted in the late evening, so competition between light sources was unlikely. In one side of the ring sat Crusher, the discontented lieutenant, and the super mutant responsible for almost taking Keats' life in the Hallows Eve revolt. He was attended by Sagat, an old naval mutant and one of his few friends that remained loyal to Keats, but willing to play fair for either side. Another side of the ring sat Keats, mayor of Austin and arguably the strongest super mutant in Texas. Of course, since Shale and Juggernaut weren't available to test their claim, Crusher remained the only notable foe left to fight. It's single combat, and Keats hadn't got a good personal fight in a while. In the center of the ring, the strongest super mutant in all of Mexico stood tall, Mil Mascaras. Though the strongest super mutant, though usually busy with governing of the free fighters, could not deny an invitation from Keats to adjudicate what might be the greatest wrestling match ever fought in the north of the Rio Grande. Citizens of Austin! Masquerades roared into the mic, drowning out the excited chatter of the surrounded crowd. Welcome to the ring! The lights of the surrounded buildings dimmed, and the network of spotlights and overhead neon emblems beamed with fresh light. I, Mil Mascaras, have been called on to oversee tonight's match. Thank you for the amazing welcome. Woo! Woo! Yeah! On the left is Keats, mayor of Austin and unifier of the Attis army's remnants. Woo! On the right is Crusher, ex-lieutenant under Attis, and the president of Mutant Veteran Committee. Woo! Woo! Yeah! The purpose of this matchup at the Unity Ring is to give Crusher a chance to fight for his freedom, and to give Keats a chance to prove his might. If Crusher wins, he will be pardoned of all crimes and allowed to seek his own fate. If Keats wins, Crusher will serve 10 years in prison for his treasonous acts. Microphones have been attached to both candidates to allow you, the people of Austin, to hear their fighting banter. Macaris made a dramatic gesture as he said this, and the crowd went wild. Gentle mutants of Austin, let the fight begin! From a series of overhead speakers, the sound of a bell rang out across the city center. prompting Keats and Crusher to stand up and walk towards each other. Crusher adjusted his barrel, and Keats strengthened his tie. Sure, he makes it stronger, both preparing to strike the first blow. I would say Keats comes in swinging. Feeling the heat of the beginning of the fight, Keats roared and charged at the traitor, fists meeting in a knuckle-crunching crack. The pair met each other blow for blow, fists butting each other collision. At their solid matches, punches, Crusher dropped to the floor of the ring and flailed his arm into Keats' left leg, bringing him down to one knee before he stumbled backwards to collect himself. Crusher raised his arms, a celebration at the first real blow, and soaked in the excited flow of the crowd's reaction. For his parts, Keats stood back up and proceeded back to the center of the ring. Crusher, you are a strong mutant. Perhaps even stronger than I. Keats addressed his foe while Crusher patted himself down and pulled his barrett tight. But there's more to the master ideas than strength alone. Unity was to be brought not just through strength, but also with the goal of peace. Through strength, we have achieved peace. Why do you still fight? Crusher. I fight because there's unity in the fight, and because you are too weak to lead. He raised his fist and prepared to play more defensively as Keats' smile shrank a little. Keats plays it cautiously, taking the hint that offense against offense might not be the greatest idea. Keats raised his bloodied hand in defense, but in this time, Crusher was prepared for Keats' defense, and both parties played cautiously with circling swipes. After a couple minutes of preliminary strikes and futile jabs, Crusher managed to swipe Keats' arms away with his face and got a solid punch on the front of the mayor's jaw, sending his head spinning and the body reeling of the other side of the arena, where he slumped against the wires. Mil Mascara rushed to Keats' side and began counting 1, 2, 3. On the third count, Keats pushed himself into the wires as far as it would let him go and used it to slingshot himself across the arena, foot directly aimed at Crusher's chest. However, the Crusher grabbed hold of Keats' foot as it flew by and whirled it around, dragged the mayor flying to loose the grip. But Crusher had his fun. The lieutenant raised the mayor high above his head and used every speck of momentum to slam him into the floor of the arena. The last thing Keats remembered was looking up through broken wood and bent steel to see Mil Mascaras raising Crusher's right arm to the ecstatic crowd. Keats slowly opened his eyes. It hurt to do so. He could hear a light beaming in the distance. Everything was light. Where am I? He managed to choke out from behind an aching jaw. A blur of green entered the fog of light. Ah, boss, you're awake, right. You were fighting Crusher, remember? The memories started coming back, but it was slow. Keats tried to raise his hand to his aching forehead, but he found it was firmly secured against the bed frame. So was the other one, and the legs. Any reason got me locked up? As his vision started to clear, he saw the super mutant in white robes was Dr. Ratkin. Ah, forgot about those. Sorry, you were flailing a bit during the surgery, so we had to keep him down. Ratkin pressed a button on a nearby console, and the restraints came loose. After another press, the bed's back raised so Keats was sitting up. I take it I lost then? It was quite the spectacle, Ratkin assured him while checking various readings. It didn't look like an easy fight by any means, and Crusher was just as bloody coming off the stage. And where's Crusher now? Ratkin paused and thought for a moment. You said if he won, he'd be free. Mascaras declared him the winner, and the Crusher walked into the crowd with a few friends and disappeared. I'm told he skipped town, but he didn't tell folks you at least add some honor for agreeing to fight him in the first place. Keats grunted. I suppose it could be worse. He fought off a dizzy spell for a half a minute before the obvious question reached his left. Any idea where he was going once he left? Austin Mutant Media reported he told him he was going to head back west, see if anything's left of the Master's army over there. Gotta tell you, though, fair handful of our folks saw him as the winner of the debate, as well as the match. Some they respect Crusher almost as much as you now. He's trying to laugh, but he found only coughs came out. Could be worse. Can you turn on the news if I have to be cooped up here for a bit? Sure thing, boss. Ratkin pressed a few more buttons and a radio next to his bed sparked to life. Of course, in between the music and advertisement, the only topic the show's hosts were willing to discuss was the previous night's fight. The show also featured special guest Mil Mascaras, since he felt like sticking around for a couple minutes. Hopefully he finds what he's looking for. Oh, he's going to the troll horn? Huh. Interesting. It's always like, I want to go over and see what the troll war's about to get. I'll just reload the save that I had before. Yeah, I want to see what's going on over here. Because the AI should just click on, hopefully he finds out what he's looking for. The AI controlling my nation that will be left there when I load in as troll warns. Unless it crashes, then I might have to... I quite often crash when I'm trying to load a save. Giraffes are heartless creatures. I'm glad Fallout agrees with the Owl House. I'm glad they both agree giraffes are horrible beings. I don't know why, but, you know, it's cool that they both agree. My hair was scorched by swirling flame. I didn't read the rest. Give me the event, Troll Unity of Austin. Give it to me. Give it to me. Do it. Why am I not getting it? I want the event. Give me the event. AI Unity of Austin. Click on the button so that I can get the event as the troll warn. Look. I'll be back in a moment. I'm gonna see if I can actually get this event. And we're back. And also, I never got the event. I sat there for like months in game, and nothing popped up. So yeah, cool. Great. But I'm going to check out the other paths. We're here anyways. So the Great Debate, Part 2. Sensing the inherent aggression in Crusher's eyes, Keats decides to hold back and raise his fist. This is for Shale! Crusher cried as he slammed his right fist into Keats' raised forearms. Keats didn't buckle, but he took the opportunity to whip the side of the left arm in Crusher's gut. The lieutenant took a step back, then threw himself at Keats again, with both fists extended. This is for Keats! Keats blocked most of the blows, but was forced back towards the corner of the ring. After taking a moment to assess his enemy, Crusher leaped forward with both arms raised, aiming to crush down on Keats' head. This is for Mass! Keats saw his opportunity and took it, sliding to the side where Crusher came down, and getting a cheeky strike on Crusher's side as he fell. The crowd lost it and made Keats' ears ring with cheers. Crusher, you are a strong mutant, perhaps stronger than I. Keats began taunting him from the middle of the ring while Crusher patted himself down and pulled his barrett tight. But there's more to the Master's ideals than strength alone. Unity was brought not just to strength, but also to I fight because you defeated the fight, because you're too weak to lead. Play more defensive, and we're gonna push the advantage. Sensing a change in the wind, Keats wildly charges Crusher, who is unprepared for the sudden aggression in the mayor's eye. A feigned swipe at Crusher's knees was something the lieutenant was prepared for. The following backhand slap against his face was not. With a green blur and a clap of thunder, Crusher fell to the floor of the arena. The crowd was jubilant beyond description when Crusher's shoulders hit the ground, but his barrett remained attached, and his eyes opened almost immediately after. Mil Mechras, who had been circling the fighters intently, rushed to Crusher's side, began counting 1, 2, 3. After the third count, Crusher's arms raised and slammed against the floor, sending shockwaves into the ecstatic audience and propelling Crusher 10 feet into the air. Keats had the mind to dodge the catalytic elbow Crusher came down on, but the resulting crunch saw the arena begin to buckle under the weight of the fight. Crusher slapped himself a few times in the face while Keats brushed himself down on the other side of the arena. Crusher, have I not proven my strength to you? The two stood opposite of each other on the creaking platform, and Mil Maskers circled excitedly and all the while. There is unity in the fighting style, as in my government, Keats told the audience patiently. There's unity in the fight, yes, but we fight today so that we may achieve unity through means other than fighting tomorrow. Do you not understand this, Crusher? The opponent's eyes flared, now with a sense of anger. There's merit to your reason, he stated. But the Master's unity would have no room for Humies. A few boos went up from the crowd. They are weak and will always fear us because we are stronger. It is a gift that we should turn the world green. A few sympathetic super mutants let out cheers. Woo, woo, woo! Yeah, you suck! You suck, man! Humies are good! Many Humies would consider it a gift in their species for good. You must be better than to use the argument of the enemies of unity, Keats chuckled to himself, as Crusher's face devolved into the feral look of Nightkin given one stealth boy too many. He could tell the lieutenant intended to charge him for everything. It's word. Let's see Keats meets Crusher in attack. Raising both hands to prepare for a bitter struggle, Keats stood his ground and braced for Crusher's charge. The lieutenant slammed into Keats with enough strength to flatten a mutant oak. But though Keats was pushed back, his stance did not falter. A furious row of punches followed, and Keats blocked every blow. Crusher spat on the ground and backed up. Then he jumped at Keats, arms raised and falling fast instead of dodging the hit. Keats stood firm and took it. Though he would later swear he had heard a crunch when the attack connected with his extended left forearm, it mattered little, and Keats followed up with a monster slug directly into Crusher's exploded belly. The lieutenant reeled back, gasping for air between coughs. Keats' own breathing had turned husky, but he stood straight and approached Crusher before resuming a defensive stance. I could do this all night, the mayor told him. He licked blood from a cut on his lower lip. Can you? Crusher just grunted and charged again, but Keats could tell it was nearly over. The blows were getting more sluggish and were easily blocked. After another minute of defense, Keats delivered a snappy roundhouse kick, an unexpected move for a super mutant, and Crusher had fallen back and struggling for air again. Your main reason for fighting me and everything you do has been that I am weak, Keats pleaded with Crusher between breaths. I hope, if nothing else was accomplished tonight, I've proven that strength is not an alien concept to me. You're a traitor to our kind, Crusher replied slowly, his words slurring together. If I am a traitor because I seek to use strength to pursue peace, I would have to tell me who or what you follow that my ideals go against yours. Keats coughed a few times, but he resumed a defensive stance all the same. I follow only what the master taught me, in the way I see fit. If you want to keep fighting that, raise your fists again, and let's keep fighting, Lieutenant. But Crusher stood still, eyes focused entirely on his oldest rival. Flinch. Crusher's hesitation. It took a moment while both parties stood there, panting like dogs, but eventually Crusher leaned over and started laughing. Damn it all. Keats walked over to the limit and offered him a hand. I know you don't agree with my vision of unity right now, he told him, but there will be plenty of fighting to be had before we've secured peace for ourselves forever. I know you won't fight for me, so fight with me, and we can have this debate again once our unity protects every man and mutie alive. You're a rat and a traitor. But you're strong. I'll give you that. Crusher glanced to his side and saw Mil Maskers standing sentinel with crossed arms and a utterly silent crowd behind him. Fine. Crusher stood up and swiped the sweat from his blood from his forehead while he adjusted his spirit. If a younger version of myself saw me doing this, he'd kill me. Let's find unity together. Crusher took Keats' hand and shook it. Keats pulled Crusher into a hug, smacked his back once, and stepped back. He glanced over at Maskers, who seemed to be taken in by a drama. He had forgotten he was a referee of the match. I believe this match is a draw, Keats hinted. The referee snapped out of his trance. Well, that would be that. Separating the two fighters, Maskers gripped both of their arms with his own hands and raised them simultaneously. For unity! Keats cried. The appropriate response met by the fighter's ears like a storm, and though Keats wasn't one to cry, a tear of genuine joy somehow escaped his eye. There hadn't been a cause for more pride in the old beauty's eyes. Since he led his Nightkin into Austin nearly a century ago, maybe Crusher would actually end up being useful. Maybe. And now we get Crusher. And that gives us balance. Jeez, we are going all over the place. What do you like? Okay, Crusher. Yeah, I'd love to keep you on my side. Let's go ahead and check out the other option, though. I just want to get all the options from this thing, because this is so cool. Plus, why not have the entire episode be a cage wrestle match? that might as well be the entire episode, right? I mean, at this rate, I'm gonna do like one focus afterwards, maybe, like. The Blue Devils, the trickiest fighters in the Free Fighters Federation. Keats studied up on the main fighting tactics of the Free Fighters Triarchy, long before the idea of challenging Crusher to a public arena fight entered his mind. The Blue Devils' strategies were never as straightforward as defend or attack, however. A trip here, a feint there, anything to force the foe into the back foot and then to play dirty for a knockout blow. "I'll kill you! I'll kill you!" Crusher shouted as he charged. The lieutenant threw both arms at Keats with a roar. Keats dropped to the ground and rolled his legs into Crusher's feet, causing him to trip and crash into the floor of the arena. Keats bounced backwards and dropped an extended elbow into Crusher's exposed back. The traitor quickly rolled about and stood up, steadying himself while facing the audience. "Gotcha," Keats muttered on his breath. The crowd went wild as Keats rushed up from behind, locked his arms around Crusher's unguarded right waist, and suplexed him into the cracking floor of the arena. Despite having his body thrown through wood and steel to break into the arena's ground, Crusher was still conscious, and after a tense few seconds, he pulled himself from the hole and stood tall, ready for one last bout. Keats could tell an honorable last stand when he saw one, though, and after an aggressive flurry of jabs and feints, Keats scored a critical connection to the side of Crusher's head. Though he still stood, Crusher's arms shook and lowered, all traces of sentience thought leaving his head. "Sorry to have to do this," Keats told Crusher as he stood dizzily spinning in place. The mayor approached him and raised his right fist, clenched so hard blood started seeping through the cracks in his dry skin. With the strength of a true super mutant, he slammed into the Crusher's unprepared gut, and the lieutenant kneeled over and fell to the ground, sprawling as if dead. "A knockout! It's a knockout!" Mil Mascaras got down to confirm Crusher was unconscious, then stood and approached Keats. "Well done, that was a good fight." Mascaras whispered in the air. Mascaras gripped Keats' wrist and pulled it skyward. "Austin, you have your champion!" Though tired and bloodied, Keats' smile filled the hearts of the audience, and their cheers were ecstatic and ceaseless until Keats raised his hand for quiet. He pulled the microphone to the torso closer to his mouth and spoke to his adoring fans. "Citizens of Austin! Tonight you saw a fight for the soul of our city. Crusher wanted you to lead you all a fate of war and conquest across the face of Texas. His reasoning was that I was too weak to lead. I fought him to demonstrate that this is not the case, and I prevailed. But where there's strength, the strength must be used wisely. We fight today so that we may have peace tomorrow." Crusher, it seems, could not learn this lesson. "It is my great hope that all the excitement of tonight's events, you would learn what he failed to understand, for unity and for peace." The roar of the crowd drowned out Keats' own thoughts, and he felt his head starting to spin, but he summoned just enough energy to keep smiling and to make it home to his bed before passing out, knowing that there's now nobody to threaten unity from the inside. I'm gonna go with the option to get him as a general. I just like that. I just like the idea of having this guy who literally hates me as one of my star generals. It's just funny. Okay. Plus, generals are starting to become expensive for me to promote with the amount of command power you need. You know, another general. Nothing wrong with that. The Republic of Dave. They need to add the Republic of Dave. And now we get 10 war support, 10 stability, some imbalance, and he becomes a commander. You're a commander. Nope, no description. I was really hoping they had a description. I don't think this mod has description for generals, unlike a Hush at War. I keep thinking, oh, is he gonna have a description? That's like, no, they're not. Let's see, where can I go next? Let's see. So these we have to wait till the next year for. Might as well go ahead and do this one though. But I think that'll go ahead and end this episode. All we've done is a wrestling match. That's today's episode. Today's episode is a wrestling match. That's it. I love it. But if you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.